welcome to another Deal Structure Sunday, or your very first. If you're new to the channel, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe so you don't miss these. There's 100 plus in there now. I am with, once again, Cami and Greg, high six associates, as well as certified coaches and head coaches. And so you're getting it from the best. We'll find a hole, but you get it from the best.
Yeah.
All right, welcome, guys.
Thanks, Chris. Glad to be here.
So let's dive right in, because as always, we'll go to the deal structure over time for the nuances. What's the deal type here?
Yeah, the deal type here is actually a sub 2. Subject existing loan, correct.
2. Okay. The source?
Yeah, source was a FSBO, sale by owner.
Okay. If I forget later, let's talk about how long they tried, nuances, and all that good stuff. How long a term did you guys structure?
We structured at least, well, it was really no term on it at all. It's unlimited, this one.
Oh, sub 2, my bad. Okay, so on the term, this is worth mentioning, not saving for the nuances. I don't want someone to mess this up. We 9.9 times out of 10 do not promise a term on a sub 2 unless it's a great deal and the seller's going, look, I need out by an end date. We own the house, so there is no term on this. Correct, guys?
Correct.
Right.
Correct. The only so I'll add a little quick nuance there is the equity. We're going to give some up front and then agree to pay some of it within the next 24 months. So.
Okay. Okay, cool. So let's jump to, so this sub 2, this is a little different than this sub 2 does have some equity in it.
It does. Mm-hmm.
In the deal you guys did with Wicked Smart Finance, doing the deal with you, our other company, that had equity in it for sub 2 as well.
It did. Correct.
Okay. And I say that just for the viewers to know. I know you guys know this, but you know, usually the sub 2 lends itself to someone that sort of is having a headache financially. They need debt relief and there's not equity. But case in point here, your last 2 sub 2s have equity.
Yes.
So very interesting. Okay. Debt then on this one?
Yeah, the debt was is 287, 792.
287, 792.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then what equity did you promise this person?
Promised them 18,109.
18,109. Okay, so with the nuances, I want to talk about all these things at the top of the page here, actually, how that conversation came about versus just buying it and all that good stuff. Let's come back to that. We're going to sell for how much?
$349,900.
$349,900. Let's talk about the discussion briefly, Cam, we had before we went live. Meaning, if they get a property, the viewers, and they're going to price it, what was our discussion about that, so they can learn that one little nugget? It's important.
So you might have calculated your purchase price to be like 746 or 747. So you might as well just take it straight to the 349 under the 350 range, because when they're searching or when they know how much they can afford, it's usually at that, it's not in the middle of like a 330 to 350. It's up to 350. So you might as well just add in your extra time and effort and take it to 350 instead of stopping in the middle.
Yeah, and those brackets change, right? Like if we were talking above a $500,000, they tend to be in the closer to 50 grand ranges, and then in this range closer to 25. There's no rhyme or reason, but that's just, if you're searching for a house as a buyer, put your buyer hat on and think of that. You're gonna probably search in brackets. That's all we're saying. Okay, deposit from the buyer. This is not a jumbo, so we don't need to like set anyone up for a 20% unless we can easily. So what are we thinking here?
Well, I'm going to go for 10%. Actually, once we get to that number, we're probably going to offer owner financing just because it's subject to. So we want to get minimum. That begs a discussion in the overtime for sure, because that's a nice technique, and I want them to know what you meant by that. It's really cool. So we'll talk to you in the overtime. First of all, if I can help you read what that says, that is a 3. I promise you that's a 3. We'll talk about in the overtime what Cami meant by that, because that's a really cool strategy. Monthly payment on the underlying 287.
Yeah, it's $2,147.
147. PITI, Greg, principal interest, taxes, insurance. Okay.
It is, yes.
If you're new, principal interest, taxes, insurance, a lot of the deals, sometimes you will get a principal and interest. I mean, I haven't personally seen, I don't know if you guys have, a newer mortgage where the banks are doing just PI. Most of them don't want to do that.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I've been seeing that.
Not newer anyway, maybe some older loans. Okay, we're gonna have the buyer paying us how much?
Shooting for $24.99, so 2,500.
$24.99. Okay, and so that comes to what, 300 and something bucks?
$352.
Okay, and okay, there's no term here, so Cami mentioned something we're gonna talk about in the overtime, maybe converting this to seller financing for the buyer. What are you guys figuring on this lease here, just for calc reasons here?
Yeah, we've got it set up for a 10-year or 120 months.
120. Okay, so if you calculate this way, let's go with this, and then on the overtime, we'll talk about where we could go up or down on that.
You got it. Yep.
Would that come to?
Comes out to 42,240.
42,240. All kinds of cool things we'll talk about in the overtime, I'm thinking, as we go through this. So the price premium was how much?
That's 43.9, somewhere around there.
All right, let's kind of just explain why we do it a lot automatically when we talk sandwiches. We forgot to do it here. Greg and Cami did not talk to the seller about price. They used it for a formula, but then it really comes down to, I'm giving you this much equity, I'm taking over your loan.
Right.
But in this case, what do these add up to?
Yeah, that adds up to the total debt and equity is 305, almost 306.
Okay. So we'll say roughly 305. And so, yep, nice markup. Principal pay down on that underlying 2147 payment.
Yeah, it comes out to 58,200, which is
58.
basically 485 average per month on principal pay down.
Okay, this is worth noting. It's 485 now, but with this long of a term, even 4 or 5 years, obviously that increases every single month, ever so small, but it'll add up over 5, 10 years.
Sure will. Sure will.
So it'll be higher than that. Payday one, we got a, again, reminder for the viewers, when you go to the closing table, it's nothing different than if you sold your house today and close next month. You're now closing this out. The buyer gets credit for that 34.9 and the cash out for payday 3 here, guys.
Yeah, just about 63.7.
63.7. This is looking sweet. So payday 1, payday 2, payday 3. What do we got for total?
Talking one, well, let me add another nuance in it too. We're also going to collect a first month's rent also for $24.99 on payday 1.
Okay, so explain that, how it's written in the contract.
Yep. So basically what it boils down to is when buyers go to the table and go get a mortgage, they don't pay it, they put their down payment, and they make their down payment. 30 days later, they make their mortgage payment. However, these are rent to own buyers and we collect the first month's rent.
Yeah, and then how do we get away with it? Or I'll take this side. We get away with it with the seller real simply. It's the same explanation. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if we're taking over your property on January 1, we're not paying January 1 payment because that was for December. We don't live there. We're going to pay February 1 for the month of January. And so we collect it from the buyer and we don't have to pay the seller or their mortgage.
Exactly.
9.9 times out of 10. It's never happened to you guys. You said in the last deal structure where the seller said, no, and you had to do it. I think in all my deals, maybe 3 or 4 times, like it doesn't happen much.
Right.
So all 3 paydays without that, or Greg, or if you figured it together, however you guys did it.
Yeah, figured it together, $143,038.
143.38.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Will that be a record deal for you guys for all 3?
No, we actually had a higher deal than this one.
Okay, so sweet deal obviously drags your average of 74, 75 up quite nicely.
Yes, it sure does. Yes, it does.
Nice. I love it. Let's do this. Let's jump to the deal structure overtime because we have things about the time frame of the FSBO. We have things about the term, and we have things regarding deposits and whatnot. So let's jump over there and do that for the viewers. SmartRealEstateCoachAcademy.com, and we'll dive deeper into the nuances, etc. Guys, thanks for being on again, and congrats on another deal.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.